Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Breathing Room. I'm your host, Rob Lavati. Super stoked today to be here with P.T.P, Peter the Poet.
What's up? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. I met Pete. Is it cool if I call you Pete?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool, because I'm going to do it either way, but just
I'm offended. I'm hurt. You're good.
All right, cool. It's probably been about 2 years since we first met. I caught you at a show over at Static Age, which was really cool because it's like a punk venue, and you guys brought a hip-hop show there.
Yeah.
And there was a good crowd. I think people were into it. That's the first time that I saw you.
Nice.
And yeah, I've enjoyed you a lot. I enjoyed you that night, and that's when I first started listening to you. I followed the Bitter tape. And we'll talk about your upcoming tape, Hunger. I want to talk a little bit about that as much as you feel comfortable. I don't want to reveal the secret sauce, but
no, it's all good. Yeah.
I got a sneak preview listen, and I'm super grateful for that.
Exclusive.
It was great, man. I'm going to save my feedback for when we get to it later on, but thanks for sharing that with me.
Of course.
I always appreciate the opportunity to listen to a tape before it comes out, and it gives me like a special feeling.
Yeah.
So we're coming to you, as always, from the Asheville Play Studio in Asheville, North Carolina. West Asheville, to be specific. The Walkable West, as Spaceman called it. Production being run by Matt Dunn, AV Live. As always, he does such a great job with our show. Check out his website if you ever have an interest in live production of your event. Matt is really great at producing live events, and he'll get multicam going on and produce it live.
Nice.
And with audio, produce your event. I've seen him do concerts, comedy shows, church events, you name it, really. Podcasts like this, commercials. Matt gets involved in a lot of different stuff, music videos. So if you have the need to display something live, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, hit up Matt, avlive.co. Yeah, shameless plug. Just wanted to throw that out there. I don't think I give Matt enough credit
Shout
for
out Matt,
all the things that Matt does.
Yeah.
Before we get started today, as always, want to do a quick 10 seconds of mindfulness, so we could just close our eyes, get settled in. Philo Reitzel called it the shortest meditation of all time, and I guess he's right, but it's still fun nonetheless.
Yeah,
so let's do it.
Let's do it.
I lost count.
It's fine, yeah.
That's like 10, right?
I think so, yeah.
Felt like 10.
Felt good.
Yeah.
Felt like a solid 10.
Yeah. I spend most of the time counting when we do that, and that time I tripped up, so it was actually anxiety provoking. I'm like, is heaven?
I was overthinking it, like, I have to listen to my breath, right? Or I have to I was like, oh, how do you do this again? So
I ask everyone who comes on, do you meditate normally?
I should.
You should, Peter.
I should, and I don't. And I've been recommended it a few times, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's like, I view it like working out. Your body kind of needs it. You need that. Not necessarily traditional meditation. You don't need to and do all that shit. But like taking 10 minutes a day, a few times a week, to think about nothing other than how you're breathing. And how your body feels, you need that the same way that your body needs to burn off energy when you work out.
Word. Yeah.
So I'm not preaching because I don't do it as much as I should. I struggle with pretty much anything that's a routine. Like straight up, like I've not brushed my teeth for 2 months at a time before. I'm not proud of that. It's pretty gross.
Really? Okay.
I still have all my teeth.
Nice.
But like, yeah, it's like once something falls out of routine for me, it's really hard to keep it up.
Word. For my not problem with it, but my overthought of it, my cynicism around it is that I feel like my mind is always racing, or not racing, but like there's stuff going through it, and you get the lens of like I'm sitting in silence meditating, and then I'm thinking about myself sitting in silence meditating, when the point of it is to hopefully erase some sort of narrative in your head of what's going on. So if I was trying to do it for 5 minutes, I'd be like, how long has it been? Oh, I'm still doing this. Oh, is it doing what I want it to? Wait, now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it not doing it what I wanted to, and on and on. So
it's so easy to overthink it when you first start out. And it's like, it's one of those things that only gets easier when you make it a routine. Like after meditating for a month, that goes away. But if you stop for a couple weeks, it will come right back. So that's really the only way it's gotten better for me, is just by making it part of my routine, doing it the same time every day, or before the same activity. Like before I eat dinner, I'm gonna meditate, or like before I like
You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So who knows where we're gonna go in the next hour, but when I was kind of thinking about what I'd like to talk to you about today, based on some things I've heard you share during live shows, I want to talk about being judged by other people. Something that I've experienced quite a bit in my life, and based on some offhand comments you made, so I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but it's more than one. I feel like you've experienced that in your life in some way as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that, and talk about the turning point that I think we all hit when we're judged by other people in a negative way. Which for me, it really weighed heavily on me for a long time. There are times that I was bullied throughout school. I mean, I'm not like waving a victim card and like trying to play a victim in hindsight, but there are definitely times that I was taken advantage of because I tried to be a nice kid and I was weak and vulnerable. So for a long time, I definitely resented that people took advantage of that, and it hurt me when people didn't just like me, because I wanted everyone to like me. And then there came a turning point very recently. I'm 28 now, and I feel like in my mid-20s, somewhere around 25, 26, came a point where I was like, wait, I don't own what other people think about me or how they treat me. I might not like it, I might want it to be different, but I don't own that. I own how I respond to it. So that's the mentality I've tried to adapt in my life now, is like, even if people mistreat me, try to still treat them with kindness. Use opposite action, and like not fight back with fire. Just bring like a big old like fire extinguisher. You know? So that's a little bit about what I want to get into today. And also talk about overcoming depression. I've talked about this quite a bit on the show, but I've been depressed in some capacity since I was a kid. When I look back on my life, at 5 years old, I was a very sensitive and I would say depressed child. I don't think it impacted me then the way that it's impacted me later in my life, but depression's always been in the mix, you know? I feel really good right now. I feel like I'm at a good place with my depression where I understand it. I know it's around the corner at any point. I can wake up tomorrow and it could be day one of a 6-month depression. But I've found some things that are really helpful for getting me to a point where I feel okay and I feel like I can manage on the day to day. And even if the depression is there, some things that fight back. So that's a little bit about what I want to get into today. But first, I want to talk about the thing that's like hot off the press. I want you to just give me a little overview of Hunger. I have not gotten through the whole tape yet. I made it through 9 tracks.
Nice.
Really enjoyed a lot of it. It's 13, size. Right?
Yeah, the first 9 or 10 is like, that's a good sample size for sure. Yeah.
Cool. And the first 8 they all hit home for me in some way. I love that you sing. Are you calling it an album? It's 13.
Yeah,
that's not an EP.
Yeah, it's an album.
Yeah. I love that you sing on it. It's something that, in my opinion and in the opinions of others that I've had on the show recently, singing and hip hop can go one of 2 ways. It can go a way that I think Spaceman Jones really doesn't like.
Oh, word.
That's kind of what he said on our episode. a lot of the stuff you'll hear on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
That more kind of pop singing.
Mm.
And then there's what you do, which is singing to add melody to your songs and singing to convey emotion.
Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me a little bit about Hunger. Tell me about who produced it for you, or if it was multiple kind of collaborators. When can I expect it to drop? Where will I be able to get it? Just kind of give me the rundown.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, P.T.P, Peter the Poet, is
Holy
my
shit,
alias.
I talked a lot there.
You're good. Yeah. No, you're fine. Well, that's me. Hi, cameras. P.T.P, Peter the Poet. Nice to meet you. My album Hunger is essentially a follow-up to Bitter. I haven't done a full studio album since that. Like, I did the Tomes compilation on Spotify is just like 12 singles that I dropped over the last like year and a half. So it's not like a cohesive concept album. And Hunger is following up Bitter because it was made in a particular emotional pressure, like a pressurized life situation, pressurized life context, where I was like, I want to make this album, where I've been thinking about it for so long, or I've been thinking about it in that tension that was going on. So essentially what happened, nothing like life-changing or like crestfallen necessarily, but I worked at a place for 2 years, and all of a sudden one day they just let me go. And I suddenly had all this time, and I'd been collecting beats for 2 or 3 months, and then I was like, it's time. Like, I have this time, and I feel certain ways about being let go, and I've had to sort of rifle through just you lose that routine, you have a lot more time to just think about what's going on up there. So I sort of took that approach. Essentially what the album's about is big thing for me recently, which is uncharacteristic. Like, if anyone I know from my childhood watches this, they'll be like, that's very strange, is feeling very terrestrial, feeling very disconnected from a higher power is a theme that comes up in the lyrics a lot. Just
is that
feeling,
a new feeling for you?
Yeah, it's very new, and it's kind of weird. It's like I used to be like a very staunch atheist when I was a kid, like, and I was that kid, at summer camp or school, whatever it was, like, oh, you're like, you believe in this, blah blah blah, and I was sort of
same here.
So
I called it agnosticism, but same principle.
Well, at the time I was like, I was just so like definitive in my thoughts, just because I was a opinionated kid that didn't necessarily bring other people's perspective into what I was saying. So I was very much like, I'm going to challenge you, and this doesn't exist. But I went to a Riverside church for preschool, Episcopal schooling for middle school, Quaker in high school. So I had many opportunities to exist in resistance to those ideas, like, of religion and stuff. But recently, I've just been feeling disconnected from, especially as my friend circle has gotten smaller, or more focused, I should say. Smaller might indicate loss, but just like more focus in where I am geographically. There's just times when you're alone, and I found myself just like praying once in a while over stuff. I don't know, and I've never done that. So I'm still, if my thoughts are a little scattered, or I'm not very concrete in how I'm talking about it, it's because I'm still figuring out. Like, I said this to my friends the other night, like, I don't really know what my feelings are about it. But on the album, I essentially just talk about feeling disconnected from something beyond myself and being so self-absorbed. And so that's one big topic. Another topic, I'm trying to think. Hunger, the name Hunger just comes from the feelings of like longing, or like yearning, or just wanting to figure it out, wanting to be more successful than my adversaries. There's a lot wrapped up. My adversaries. Because
that's a word. That's
a
like,
word. Yeah, my opponent's small, and then on one of the
like
last.
Someone's trying to sink your battleship.
Yeah. Well, on the last song, I say, sick of basing my growth off the death of my opponents. So there's a growth that through the project, but generally I'm very adversarial with the ghost, whatever the ghost, your demons, like that shade of what you're fighting against, whatever it is, or it's people in your environment that you judge or you see as like going against your best interest. And I don't know, my adversaries are just people that I feel are diluting what I care about or what I'm passionate about. They're filling space, they're making noise, they're not aware of themselves, they're not aware of what they offer and how it might be not what, I don't know. Essentially, to put it in very blunt terms, I think a lot of shit is whack. It would be the most frank way to say it. I think a lot of shit is whack and a lot of people aren't aware of themselves. So there's a lot of adversarial lyrics on the album that essentially are a bit dismissive. I want to be, on Bitter, for example, and other projects, I was a little more, music saved my life, and music and to you is saving your life, and that's great. But as I've gotten older and I've been fucked over by people that are competing with me, I've been a little bit more cynical. But I haven't been like wronged by anyone necessarily, but I've had experiences since then that just make me a little more bitter, pun intended, and a little more hungry, pun intended, to rise above that. And
a little more poetic. I just wanted to say pun intended, but
a little more poetic, a little more Peter, more pun intended.
A little more,
a little more. So I guess, I don't know, for hunger, what is it about? What is it? It's yearning, it's wanting more in even a carnal sense, a possession sense, a disconnection sense, and then every through line of my albums is working through my emotions and what's going on. So
cool. Well, at first listen, I really enjoyed it. Standout track to me, I think I even hit you up on Instagram last night, was track 3, Need.
Need, yeah.
You have all the homies on it.
Yeah, shouts out SK the Novelist, shouts out Musashi Zero. They're like my best friends in this North Carolina hip-hop stuff, and they feature on that track,
and they're both standouts to me in the way that you are. And before we started recording, when you and I were talking, I was going to say something, and I was like, I want to save that for the show. Much like Zero, you have, I think, the most important thing in hip-hop, which is a voice. To me, I mean, there are things that are important. You have to have a flow, be lyrical, be dynamic. Being able to sing helps. Being a musician helps. Being a producer helps. There's all this stuff that makes you a good rapper, so to speak. But I think the most important thing to people is, what do you sound like? And I had the same experience as I did with Zero. When I first heard you live, I hadn't heard any of your stuff. I heard your voice, and I'm like, damn, he's got a cool voice. I want to hear more of that.
That means a lot.
And that's step one. So I'm listening at that point. And then from there, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm listening to your beats, and I'm listening to everything, and I'm going, yeah, this is holistic as fuck. Like, you have the whole concept together.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
It's guys like you that make me really hopeful for the Asheville hip-hop scene. There's like, it felt like a small handful, but I feel like it's starting to run over a little bit of guys that stand out, and gals that stand out in the hip-hop and R&B and neo-soul scene in Asheville. Indigo D'Souza. She has a project called Icky Bricket.
And the Icky Brickets,
and they are kind of like that neo soul, even hip hop feel. They're killer, man. Almost like an Erykah Badu feel.
I saw her perform.
I saw her at the Mothlight.
I saw her perform at a basement in East Asheville or something.
With Icky Brickets?
No, it was just solo at the time, but I think they've caught a lot of momentum since.
She's
cool.
One where it's like, I have no doubt that, like, when I watch her, it's like, oh, she's a star. Like, at some point in her life. She's on her way. I hope it's with her current project, because I think they're great, but she's well on her way.
For sure.
And I think that about you as well. The thing that my sister said to me today when I was listening to you in the car on the way here, she was like, "Oh, this is who's on the podcast tonight." I'm like, "Yep, yeah, Peter the Poet, P.T.P." And she was like, "This was for the Dead Man Freestyle track 8 on Hunger." She's like, "Yeah, if you just played this for me, I wouldn't have known that it wasn't just like not a famous song already."
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Don't look at her.
So,
yeah, so and I agreed because it's like that. It's a really cohesive track on a conceptual album, and as a hip hop fan, I like concept albums. I like when I can listen to a full. I haven't gotten through all 13 on Hunger yet, but I have the feeling after the first 9 that it's cohesive, it's conceptual. I want to listen to the whole thing.
Word. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, there's like 7 or 8 beats by the same producer. All guys I don't know, unfortunately. Like just like YouTube, I found them. But it's like 8 or by the same guy, so it has sort of like a sonic continuity.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 other producers. I think one is a guy like Batman did most of them. I'm revealing my stash now. I kept it so close to my vest, but even when I was like playing beats for SK and Zero, because I was like, I don't want that.
Aux cord only.
Yeah, I don't know. I as a weird little defensive thing, but
okay. You got to be protective.
Yeah, I don't know. Because one time he and another SK and a dude in the scene rapped on the same beat because they like the same guy. So I was like, oh, I don't want that to happen. So
yeah.
But yeah, so 3 producers. And yeah, I tried to keep it thematically similar and sonically have it make sense. So I'm glad. It means a lot that that's what you felt. Yeah.
Yeah. It felt a lot like Zero's tape. Self-hate is a viable currency.
Man,
the continuity that I feel listening to that, I felt in Hunger.
Builds a world. Like he's one of my favorites in town because of that. Like he can take a 5-song, a 3-song, and build like a mini like those like cardboard sets your grandma built, and it's like there's all these layers to it, and you build each sort of like layer, and they're all distanced differently, but when you look at it from the front, it's all the same world. Like that's how I feel about his tracks. Like so it's I've surrounded myself and I'm influenced by, and I collaborate with people that inspire me to that level. So I try to execute something similar here, but based on my formula that I did with like Bitter, for example. So yeah. And
you have a good crew around you. You really do. I mean,
very fortunate.
I think about guys even like Mike Live and Ziggs and guys who
that's dope.
Can just all them. Spit,
dude.
I mean, they came by the house. One day we had a cypher at my place.
Oh wow. I might even remember them talking about that.
Yeah, it was cool. It was Ziggs, Mike Live. Who else was there? I'm drawing a blank, but there were a couple others there, and we all rapped at the house.
Nice.
And just,
Mike Live is my OG in town, definitely.
He puts on maybe the best performance out of anyone I've seen in town. He had this dope mask.
Ziggs is the best rapper in Asheville that doesn't record. Okay, just I'm shouting it out now. Like he is wild.
I will say, if anybody is listening that thinks they can battle rap, we got somebody in store for you. Come see Ziggs and lose,
please,
badly,
please,
badly. He's gonna look up your Wikipedia page, and if you don't have one, he's gonna create one, and like you're gonna lose, and it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, he's incredible. I'm very fortunate to have crossed paths, stayed in touch, and stayed in line and orbit with these
Have you
guys.
ever battle rapped?
What's funny is that I have never, but in the last 2 months, I've been writing a lot of battle bars, partially to be closer to SK because he's my best friend. I want to get closer to him in another way, and I was always not so sure about battle rapping or whatever. But it's fun. Post album, it's fun just to mess around with that kind of writing because I don't really write that way, and he's been impressed. So I don't think I'll ever do it necessarily, but I love.
Do you want to battle rap right now?
No, I like you too much. We just met, but I like you too much. I wouldn't want to. I don't know. I don't.
I'm gonna spit some angry bars about you.
You can. I just don't want to get toxic on a public platform. I might say I might use certain topics and things. I don't know. I'd be nervous.
I just really want to talk shit.
That's the point of it. Yeah.
But I would never do it in a real setting. So I watched the video. I will not name drop. I'm not trying to publicly shame anybody.
Okay.
SK the novelist was involved. I won't say no more.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Was
And
that the legendary one? Not legendary one?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know it was a battle rap,
Uh-huh.
and I know it left me feeling very bad for somebody,
Mm.
and left me feeling like, wow, I never won a battle rap. I might never get on a stage again because of the trauma that this video created for me.
I would definitely want to have some sort of dialogue with my opponent if I ever did, because you can do that sometimes. You can be like, they can bring it up in the battle and say like, you tried to make me not talk about your daughter or whatever,
Right.
and then they'll talk about your daughter. But I would only battle someone I knew if it were my first, just so I could like be like, maybe.
Do you know what video I'm talking about?
I think I do. I don't want to say the person's name either,
Can
but I know
we-
people talk about it.
Can we say it?
I don't want to
say it.
I don't want to get. I don't want because
Yeah,
I don't have
wanna
any
say
smoke.
it.
I don't even know that person.
Me
so,
neither.
Yeah.
I've never actually met him, but I'm probably gonna watch it tonight again.
Yeah. I mean,
If you ever need to feel a lot of things, good about yourself, bad for somebody else, just watch that video.
Yeah, man. SK is
He
he's
picked
a
him
beast
apart.
when he wants to.
He did his
yeah.
homework.
Yeah,
He was mean.
he did. Yeah,
He was really mean.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
Yeah.
Be like that. But very impressive. Yeah. Shouts out to SK.
Shout out to SK. He's going to be on the 22nd, I think is the date that we nailed down.
Oh, nice.
I'm
It's not
excited
this
to talk to him.
weekend.
Not this weekend.
Okay.
He just got back from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to kind of talk to him about that and see what that trip was like for him. And I won't say anything more about that. We'll save that for his episode. But man, I'm holding a lot back. I'm
sorry,
like
I
building up
just
suspense.
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk about that video more, but let's move on.
Talk about it with him. I'm sure he'll do the expose on it. Yeah.
All right, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
So I have a word for you, and I want to see what it brings up, because I definitely have some stuff that comes up for me. But failure. What does that feel like to you, and what has been the biggest failure in your life? I'm just coming in with the fucking wrecking ball.
I love it. I'm ready, dude. I love it. I no one asks these questions, so I don't do therapy either. So there's aspects of it.
So tell me, Peter.
Yeah. Failure. I have a lyric, and I'm not promising I'm going to do this the whole time. Like, oh, I have a lyric that answers your question.
That's okay. Nope.
I say, fucked up many times, haven't failed yet. And that, to me, there's not a time where I feel like I really failed at something I tried to do. Or that sounds kind of weird. Like, I failed, of course, but there's nothing when I think about it. Like, I fucked up so many times. I've done things I wasn't supposed to do. I've been kicked out of things I was a part of because of like a bad decision. But I associate failure with the building of something event-based or moment-based, and you work really hard on it, and then just fucking doesn't happen, or it just doesn't happen the way you picture. There's been failures that have been sinking ships over time. Like, failure to me, when you say that, makes me think something very like an instance or a moment. So I don't have any like big flops that are instance based, and I'm sorry, I'm working through the question as well as I'm talking.
Yeah, no problem. My mind goes somewhere.
Yeah, where do you go?
You're gonna have to help me out on names and time frames, but I got off of social media for a while, so there's like a 6-month time frame that's pretty much blank for me. But you were in the process of creating a platform.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that actually is a perfect thread of where I was gonna go when it comes to like sinking ships. And I guess I associate failure with like a trauma, but sometimes you're just disappointed, and that's enough. So I guess reverse chronologically, I wanted to start a platform called Currency. And I do this pretty frequently where I build an entire brand from the ground up in a night or something. I'll like design the design language, the logo, what we're going to be about. I write up a business plan in my iPhone notes, what possible revenue streams, blah, 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 content base, who are we going to get it from, how are we going to categorize it, all that kind of stuff. I like just doing that in like a couple days because I get like, man, we can talk about that. I get a bit manic about that stuff.
I know nothing about that.
You know nothing about that. Oh. And it was a failure because I did everything I could to get the seeds kind of started a little bit. Like I asked 10 people to write one article on anything they wanted, and 2 or 3 of them did. And then when I was like, oh, could you, you know, if you want to write again, you can, that'd be sick. And then it turned out like I wrote 9 of the articles of the first like launch or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was only 3 that weren't by me. And it just didn't work. Like the people I'd asked didn't, and I realized that it was doomed to fail because I didn't want to write every single article, and it depended on other people to produce the content.
Right.
And you can't depend on anyone, man. I mean, you can love people, and people
right.
People don't have time; they make time, and sometimes people don't make the time, and you know, it sucks to rely on other people for that. But I probably should have committed to building it by myself first. I don't know.
Yeah, like you could ask someone to come on a podcast and they could make you wait like a month.
Yo,
month and a half.
Damn.
No,
shots.
I'm just playing.
I was being too calculated when I was like, oh, I don't know.
No,
but
it's
this
a
is
good
the perfect time.
This is a great time.
Yeah.
We are in the middle of the hip hop series. This is episode 5 of that. SK will be number 6. And then we're going to close the book on hip hop.
Nice.
And we're going to move on to, right now I'm thinking poetry. My friend Kat Dolan, who was on episodes 1 and 7, knows a lot of really great local poets between here and Boone.
Nice.
So I'm thinking about giving that a shot and doing a few episodes in that realm. But I also have 5 or 6 mental health professionals.
Nice.
Who have expressed interest in coming on the show, all local to Asheville.
Hell yeah.
So maybe I'll try to solicit some feedback from the listeners and see if there's more interest in poetry or mental health. A lot of the feedback that I've gotten on the show so far is people want to know things like, when is it time to go to therapy? What is medication like? What is finding a therapist like? What if I don't find the right therapist? People have a lot of questions like that. So it might make more sense to go right into mental health. It would, I think, tie this season together really nicely. So that's kind of open-ended at this point, but this is good timing with the hip-hop series.
Nice.
So thanks for sharing about currency.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't, man, there's stuff that I felt like kind of weird saying I haven't like failed.
No,
before.
that's not
like,
weird.
I don't know.
That's not weird.
Currency failed. I was in a rap group that fell apart, and I was part of a brand in New York that fell apart. And I started a club in college that existed without me, but the relationship between me and some of the founders broke down. So I've experienced failure, but it's not really that the effort itself failed, but it's like
things didn't work out.
Yeah, the infrastructure, the relationships for some reason dissolved. Or currency is just like, I guess because it was like a 6-week thing, it was so like in and out.
Right.
But yeah, that's a failure, I guess.
The biggest one I've experienced recently, I had to take an exam for work. It was a 4-hour exam. No, they gave us 5 hours, longer than the SATs, 180 questions. And it was all multiple choice, open book. So I had all the books with me. I didn't study as much as I should have. And by that, I mean, like, not much at all. Probably shouldn't, like, tell my bosses that. But, like, I really thought I had it and went into it and got to the exam. And out of the 6 books, I didn't have one of the books with me. I left it at home.
Oh, wow.
You needed a 73 to pass. I got a 72.
Oh, wow.
And if I would have gotten like a 20, I would have been like, yeah, that's about the effort I put into it. But to like miss by one question,
that's tough.
I was pretty devastated and like felt that feeling of failure for the first time in my life in a while. And I had to meditate on it. I was like, I had to meditate and sit there and just go like, I accept failure. I accept failure. Like I was just like a mantra. And by the time I got to the end of it, I actually believed it. By that point, it wasn't so scary. It was like, all right, I failed a fucking test. I can take it again. I have to pay for it. There are consequences, but it's nothing is as big as we make it. Like, to your point, what really failed? I didn't pass the exam. I can take it again.
Yeah, well, because and that would be something I would characterize, like, because it's an instance. It's like a pressurized, like, true or false. Like, did I do it or did I not do it?
It said exam status failed.
Yeah,
like that feels like a failure.
That's
to me.
harsh. Yeah, and like both art and like, I don't know, like even events, like the fact that anyone came, you could see as this. I say to people, I grind up the silver lining and snort it until it's gone, because like, as that sounds kind of like grotesque, but like, there's always
that silver lining. That shit will get you.
It gets you far, man. I don't know. It gets me there. But like, I don't know. There's always some sort of win you can see in a failure, especially in art. But sometimes what hurts most is just the losing of something behind the scenes.
So I have a friend, a very dear friend, who until recently owned a company and once a year put on a music festival. Again, I won't name drop. I think as a general rule, I won't say anyone's name on the show unless I'm shouting them out or I get their permission first. But over the summer, had a festival outside. Rain didn't cooperate.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And really sad that they had to cancel. I mean, they had thousands and thousands of dollars of music gear outside in a what was like torrential downpour.
Damn.
And vendors that were getting their tents ruined, and they had to make the call to cancel it. And she's often referred to it as a failure to me. And I try to challenge her because I'm like, wait a minute, you had like 50 people that were working that day and another 75 that came out to perform and another 100 that came out to vend. And the only thing that didn't happen is the sun didn't come out. It sucks. Money was lost, but it's not your fault, and it doesn't speak to the work you put into it. It's hard to call that a failure in my book.
Yeah.
So, shout out to you if you see this.
Yeah, shout out.
You're not a failure. You're a beautiful butterfly. I don't know why I picked butterfly. Butterflies are cool.
Classic. It's a classic.
Yeah. So my notes froze here, so I'm gonna go ahead and unlock my phone very nonchalantly, so no one's even gonna notice. Watch. No, wait, it didn't work. There we go. Work now.
I didn't see anything. Yeah.
No, yeah, it was just
it's like Westworld. I just didn't. I saw nothing at all. Yeah.
We'll cut that out. Right. So let's get to the topic at hand. We have about 25 minutes left that we can play around with. Cool. I want to talk about judgment, times that we've been judged in our lives, what that's felt like, how we've grown from it, and how we view it now. I'll let you start. I'm really curious to hear, because there's a particular thing you said at your show at the Mothlight that resonated with me. If you're interested, I'll bring it up.
You can share it. You can jog my memory.
Yeah. It was in the middle of one of your songs. You lifted your shirt and made a comment about having man boobs.
Yeah.
And how you used to get made fun of for it.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me because I felt like, number one, it was kind of funny because the phrase man boobs is funny.
Yeah.
So that's why it sticks with me. But it was strong and kind of brave to go up on stage at a hip hop show in a scene where, sometimes content is about all the things you are that are positive.
They're great.
And how much money you have, this and that. And you went up there and said yo, I get made fun of because I kind of got tits.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really brave.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I kind of swallow a lot of the stuff that I used to experience because it doesn't happen anymore as an adult. But the insecurity remains, and the insecurity is an echo. The insecurity is an echo from that bullying. I mean, essentially, I'm a heavier set guy. I'm wearing an XL Carhartt. That's the shirt that fits me. I own
shout out to Carhartt.
Sponsor the show. Sorry.
No, that's not true. We have a real sponsor, which is Riverbend CBD. I'd better fix that.
Sorry. So I have like 10 shirts that fit me because I know they fit me.
Yeah.
And so there's always a sort of a self-conscious aspect of how I view my body. But essentially why that was for years and years as a kid, the man boobs, for whatever reason, were just the object of people's fascination when it came to teasing me about my appearance. There's a few like flashpoint stories about that. Just like generally throughout middle school, summer camp, you go to the lake, you get made fun of by your friends. It becomes a thing of teasing.
Yeah.
The scoop slam is a classic. You get your tits scooped and then hit down.
That's not fun for anybody.
No, and then looking back, it's like today if kids are doing that'd be like a huge thing, but it just was never really addressed.
Guys were doing that to girls in my school.
Yeah, guys are doing that to
me.
me.
Not cool, huh?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you don't think it is because your chest is not sexualized in that way, or at least to your knowledge as a kid is not. So I was just like, oh, haha, yeah, whatever, dude. And we tease, I'd hit him back or I'd hit him in the shoulder, or whatever it was. But the big thing about that, and I guess I'll share that here as well because it's important to me. And I say it out on a song called Steps on to the Tomes compilation. A counselor actually felt me up. He was 15 or so, and I was like 10 or 11, or probably younger, 9. And we went to the mail room, and he like did the same thing, like scoop slam, and kind of like not played, it wasn't that long, but like, touched my chest, and I'm underage, and he's older than me. And I talk about that on Steps of like, why did Harry have to feel up on my chest? And just, I didn't realize how important that was until like recently, the last 2 or 3 years. But thinking back to my cohorts scoop slamming me and touching me, and my, counselor doing that in a weirder way, when it comes to...
Dude, I'm sorry.
What?
You can't say scoop slam like 14 times.
Sorry,
and I can't get one laugh in.
It's all good. I've been saying scoop slam.
Scoop slam is just, I've never heard it called that. I've heard it called bean dip.
I should just say groped. I don't know.
No, it's groping. It is groping.
It is groping. I don't know.
I was laughing at the phrase scoop slam.
Yeah.
Not your experiences.
I'm fucking out of here now.
God.
But yeah, judgment in the sense of being heavy, the man boobs being a situation, being generally, I guess, assaulted by other people over it. So it's judgment is wrapped up. That's a more serious point of judgment. And then there's judgment for being a white rapper. That's always a thing.
Sure,
Not less so now, but when I was a kid, I've been rapping since, and not to jump from like a dark traumatic story to like something a little lighter, but like...
No, that's good. Let's do it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Being a rapper when you're, I've been rapping for 10 plus years. I've been freestyling for fun since 6th grade. Everyone has their story, whatever, but I did it for like comedy purpose. I would rap in like an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent at first, but when it stopped being funny is when people started judging me, because at first it was like clown stuff, like, you do something to make someone laugh, less so to impress them creatively. And then when I started taking it seriously is when people were kind of like, really, like, what are you doing? And that stopped sometime late college, but from, 9th grade, because I sucked for a long time too, which didn't help. But from 9th grade to sophomore year of college, just like making album after album after album, being trash, and me not being aware, me just being like, I want to do this, and like doing it over and over, and people are like laughing at you and calling you P.T.P. or your alias in a sort of demeaning way. They're like, oh yeah, P.T.P. Some kid stole my name and was Jacob the Jew or something, and we battled, but it was all to mock me essentially. So the two biggest things I associate when it comes to judgment or mockery have been definitely like my weight and what I care about most, which is my profession or my creative side. So sorry to
I really appreciate you sharing all that, man. That's some heavy stuff, and I think you touched on a lot that we all deal with in some way. Everyone is self-conscious about something. You're very open about what you're self-conscious about. So am I. I've been bald in some capacity since I was 19. So being around my peers who were very like not bald, and I'm like, man, this sucks. Like everyone thought I was like 30 when I was 20. So I was always self-conscious about that. I'm a very hairy man, very hairy European man. And it got to the point where like I got laser hair removal because I was so concerned.
Wow.
Based on some of the things that people were saying to me about my appearance.
My mom asked me to send a picture. Well, my mom, she was well-meaning, but I sent a picture of my chest to my family because they were wanting to send it to their plastic surgeon friend just to like get an idea of like, was it worth it? Was like,
how did that feel?
Well, my dad accidentally forwarded it to another like reply chain.
Oh God,
that wasn't them. So that didn't feel great, but I was curious myself at the time too, but it almost made me realize like, wow, am I really like thinking about getting like lipo on my tits? Like I say that in a funny way,
right?
But like, what? And then I realized, it's just kind of, this is how I look. I mean, it's genetic. Like I have the same body that my dad does, just maybe with like a little more contour, just because I work out a little bit. Right. But shouts out, Pops, you look great. It's fine. Yeah. So. But I still check my stomach in the mirror, and I wish it wasn't like that. Part of it is media obsession with looking good, and that translates prints onto you. Part of it is just remembering people saying I was a certain way and then not wanting to be that, but also accepting that that's just how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I've kind of accepted it. I've stopped shaving my
hair is cool, man. Yeah.
I don't even want to call it chest hair because on me it's kind of like my front hair.
Like well, everyone thinks it's like fucking like Austin Powers, Zohan, like Afro stuff, but it's just like
no, it's just like I got a lot of hair on my body.
Yeah, body hair looks sick, dude. I don't know.
Be proud. If it's gonna be cool and a movement for women, which I have no beef with, to grow their leg hair and their armpit hair, I think. More power, honestly. I think, why the hell not? And anyone who thinks it's gross, it's not your fucking body.
Yeah.
And like, why is it gross? Why is there a double standard there? Why do you get to have hairy, stinky armpits and like hair on your fucking feet?
I think
like,
whatever you
men
do,
are hobbits.
Yeah, whatever you
want.
want.
Why do we get to look like that? But then women are expected to be hairless.
Yeah. Whatever you want and can pull off confidently and makes you comfortable. I think people are their most I respect people the most when they're most comfortable. And
Me too.
So like all that, like all the body hair politics, all that stuff. Like if you are rocking it and you're like, this is what I want to do, I love you for it because it's like that's perfect. Like the way you manifest yourself the most comfortably is always going to be what I love, and I hope other people learn to or are in the process of learning that. Yeah.
So if you're watching, listening, you're beautiful unless you're ugly, and then you're probably still beautiful on the inside. Don't spend $10,000 to get your jawline adjusted or your beard fullened or your maybe get your like Nazi tattoo removed. That's a bad look.
Yeah.
But things that you don't have control over, keep it that way. I don't have control over this, so if you don't like it, well, neither do I. But it's my body, so like.
I've been watching my brother do a lot of more like self-image stuff, and it's been imprinting itself on me a bit too. So
good.
It's cool.
It's good practice because we can be our worst critic by a long shot when it comes to that. We can tell ourselves some pretty nasty shit based on things that we've heard from other people or things that we've heard in the media or seen on TV. Like I remember growing up, I was watching some like reality show on MTV. It's Real World, I think. And the girl went on a date and she came back and she was like, oh my God, the worst thing happened. You're not going to believe it. And the other girl goes, what? He had back hair?
Oh, wow.
And dude, I was probably like 12 years old. I didn't have any body hair yet.
Yeah.
But then when I started getting back hair, you better believe somewhere deep in my brain, like, doop, 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 that memory came up. And I'm like, fuck, is it that bad?
Damn, that's wild.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, we believe the things that we see or the things that we're told, and it becomes that inner voice if we don't take control of it.
Yeah.
You really have to throw a lasso around it and be like, nah, man, like, fuck it. I'm just hairy and my teeth are crooked. Like, that's me. That's what makes me unique.
Yeah. My mom used to always comment on people's teeth in movies. She's like, oh, those teeth. And I went to the dentist. I got, like, when I lost a tooth, I have an implant in the front of my teeth, and I had braces and all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting what comments you absorb. Excuse me.
Yeah. And then one other thing I feel really inclined to share, man. I'm grateful you opened up about it and that you're open about it. I am just starting my journey with it. But I had some experiences in my childhood that were sexual in nature with peers. On 3 different occasions, 2 of which felt forced.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm saying that on this platform. I guess I'm owning that. I didn't plan on saying that today. I feel inclined based on what you shared with me, and it's something I'm working through with my therapist right now a lot, because anyone that I've told me it's normal. It's your peers. They're not older than you. It's normal. It happens. That's exploration. It didn't feel normal, and I wasn't told that it was normal when I confided in adults and told them what happened. I was made to feel it was very abnormal, that I was wrong, and I should be punished. So that's a situation that is definitely traumatic in nature that's stuck with me, and I've had to work through in a lot of different ways. But that happens to too fucking many people.
Yeah, man.
Seriously, man. Too many people have to go through that in far worse ways than I experienced. And it makes me really sad. Like, I look back on the first time that ever happened to me. It was a kid that was my age, man. We were 8 years old. And he pretty much forced me to take my pants off. What 8-year-old knows that unless that's happened to them? And that's how I've started to view that situation. And it makes me really ill, man.
Yeah.
That
hurt people.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a kid who's 8 years old and already has the potential to hurt someone for a lifetime because he's been hurt that badly.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do a little speech before that song, and one of the reasons why I'm able, and also thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for giving me the space for that.
You're working through that, man. It's
hard,
tremendous. Yeah.
But you got to start by owning it, and that's kind of step one.
Yeah,
I say that with a lot of things, but it's true.
Yeah, and I would make I would make a little speech before and I think after and before that song, and because people love that song because it's intense, or a few of my friends love that song because it's intense. But I would say, this is, you minimize your own experience. I'm not defined by it, but it happened and it's fucked. And it probably, you never know the echoes in which it affects your sexuality or the way you view intimacy and things. But I always said, like, this is just something that happened to me. It was brief. It wasn't, I wasn't, raped essentially, or, whatever. There's no spectrum of which one is worse than the other necessarily. I want to respect everyone that's experienced something like that. But whether it's the kids touching me or the counselor touching me, it all matters. And what the hell was I saying? Oh, I was saying, like, there's people that go to their family and their uncle. You hear all the stories about the creepy uncle. Where does that stereotype come from? Probably because millions of people experience that. So
do you have a creepy uncle?
I don't, thankfully. Yeah.
We have a creepy uncle.
You guys have a creepy uncle?
Are you on the same page as me?
Or is it not creepy?
All right. Maybe he's just creepy to me.
Well, I have a creepy cousin, yes. And they never did anything to me, but you get that vibe of, like, I don't know.
What I just did was so mean. I have a couple uncles who watch this show.
Oh, and they're going to be
like, oh my God, am I the creepy
me?
uncle?
Oh, no.
You're not the creepy uncle if you're watching it. And if you think you are, you're the creepy uncle. If you think for a second, am I the, yep.
Yeah.
You're the creepy uncle. Thanks for letting me share that, man. Feels great to
thank you.
have the space for that. And I will say to anybody who's watching or listening to this episode, if that story resonates with you in any way, drop us a line on the website, breathingroomshow.com, on the contact page. So that's breathingroomshow.com/contact. You can keep it anonymous or submit your name. I'd love to hear from you and hear your similar stories. I've had a few people reach out to me and tell me about their experiences with losing loved ones to suicide, which has been really empowering, man. I feel like that's the intent of this show to me, is I want to give people the space to share that stuff, whether it's my guests or my listeners. So if that connects with you in any way, you've had an experience that you want to open up about, feel free to drop us a line. Always here to just read or listen or support in any way that I can. So we have about 10 minutes left.
Damn.
Time really flies.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks for going through that with me. It's always interesting to talk about things that happened to us in our childhood. Like, the last thing I'll say about it before we segue, I had an experience in the last year that was really interesting. I slept with somebody who I knew from my childhood around the time that stuff was happening to me. And immediately after sleeping together, I started crying.
Wow.
And couldn't figure out why. And then it was like later that night that it all came back, kind of flooded back to me. And I think Always Sunny, if you ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Frank in the therapist episode, he's like, you unzip me. Yeah, I was like unzipped and it all just came rushing back. And it was weird how my body associated this person who I knew as a child to the shit that happened to me sexually as a child.
Yeah.
Weird. The body, the brain, how they're connected.
Yeah.
Very strange, and more so than we, I think, gave credit to.
Yeah.
So
fight or flight responses to people commenting or touching my chest have happened. Yeah. Even my adulthood. Like I got really upset with someone I was in a group with because they commented. We were at played at a pool party or something.
Right.
Yeah, and you never know. It's unzip, trigger, whatever. It's a lot. Thanks for
We're all
that.
sensitive beings, man. And if you notice something about somebody that stands out, you better believe they're self-conscious about it.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm very guilty of judging people based on appearance. And I'll think some really mean shit. But you better believe I'm not going to turn around and say it or act it on that person.
I hear that. I'm very much a behavior and what you say. Yeah. I'm very much of if you act and say or act a certain way or speak a certain way about things, that's when my nastier judgmental voice happens.
Right.
Appearance less so these days. But yeah, I mean, you're always going to be if there's a very distinct feature that's warped in some way, you're always going to have that voice in the back of your head saying something about it, or I don't know.
Yeah. I've had a lot of dudes on here with nose rings. We're part of the movement.
I guess so. Yeah, yours is looking good.
Yours is good too. You got the gold. I got the silver.
Nice.
Silver and gold.
Yeah.
You're on the left side. I'm on the right side.
It's my first piercing. I got
really?
In April of last year. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I got mine in November. Not this past year. The year before. It hurt like fucking hell, dude. No one warned me how bad it hurt. So this dude puts the clamp on, and I'm like, ow, 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 ow. He's like, dude, it's the clamp. And I'm like, yeah, it fucking hurts.
Yeah, it just felt like a lot of pressure.
And then he pulls the needle out, and this thing is like, I feel like you could sew a leather jacket with it. It is a gnarly thing, and he just right in my face, dude, and it takes some pressure to break through the cartilage. So I'm just tears streaming down my face, and he's like, all right, now we got to put in the jewelry. And that hurt almost as bad as the first part. I would not do it again, and if you're thinking about doing it, don't do it. It hurts, and I get boogers caught in it a lot. It's not a good look.
Sometimes you have to dig back
when you're hanging out with somebody and yo, you got a booger in your. I'm like,
My dad always asks me, how do you blow your nose with that? I'm like, you just blow your nose, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you have any more topics, or I don't know? I don't know, man. Did you?
Am I not doing my job, Pete? No, I'm just gonna awkwardly sit here and look at you while I pour more coffee in my cup.
Perfect. Time really flew by, man. Yeah. I'm from New York City. Yeah.
What do you miss about there? How long have you been here?
I've been here.
What's your favorite color? Where do you like to go to eat Thai food? What do you like when you get Thai food? Do you like a mango lassi from Indian restaurants? Have you been to any good Indian restaurants?
Yeah, chai pani.
Now you.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Which one do you want me to answer?
All of them in order.
In order.
3, 2. No. So what was the first one?
I don't know. Where was I from?
Shit. Yeah, New York.
I don't know.
New York.
For some reason, I'm thinking of.
And how long since you moved here?
I came here 2017, and from New York City, and I miss my family. That's pretty much it. I mean, and I miss late night Chinese food. I miss stuff being open past.
You know, Wo Hop.
What was that?
Wo Hop.
No.
Okay, never mind.
That one place in New York. The one.
The
one thing in New York,
like
right?
A famous Chinese restaurant.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You know what? If you insult me like that again on my podcast, see if I invite you back. See if I invite
love you.
Give me that T-shirt back.
I love you. I'm sorry.
That's like people are like, "Oh, you went to Penn State? Do you know my cousin?" And I'm like, there are like fucking 80,000 students or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't know them.
What was rattling in my head was the overcoming depression topic you mentioned earlier, but we're very late on now.
No,
so,
bring it back, man.
I mean, you can ask me anything. I don't know.
We got enough time. Let's talk about that. I said we were going to talk about it. Let's keep me to the script.
Sure, yeah.
So, talked about it pretty openly on the show and other episodes. Like depression has been an old familiar friend for me. Been there since I've been a kid in some ways. It's gotten a lot worse as I've gotten older. It's evolved. The monster's gotten scarier, so to speak. But I feel pretty good right now. I feel manic in some ways, and we could talk about that too, and then we could turn this into a 6-hour long episode.
I feel like when you mentioned that on another episode, I was interested in digging into that. I know we only have a little bit of time.
Yeah, we can quickly touch on both, and then I want to save time for you to do one piece a cappella.
Oh, true.
So first, because they're related, I think we could talk about both. So for me, I've been diagnosed as type 2 bipolar, which is the primarily depressive type. You spend most of your time depressed, and then you have not full-blown manic episodes where you're going to be like parading down the street in your underwear, like, or thinking you're Jesus Christ or something like that. But hypomania is like diet mania. So I go through episodes of hypomania and then much longer periods of depression. They can be 9 months long. It's like a fucking pregnancy of a depression. I've carried them to term, and like they're usually back to back. Something will trigger one or the other. Like I'll be depressed, usually the changing of the seasons. Winter for me is when mania kicks in. That's when I do shit like start a podcast. That's when it kind of kicks in. I have that energy. I want to go. I want to call all my old friends and see how they're doing. I want to party. I want to do whatever. Who wants to hang out? And then before I know it, I'll wake up one day and that old familiar friend is right back and I'm depressed again. So some things that have helped me overcome it, I can boil it down to one word. Consistency is key. Especially as someone who is bipolar. If you're going to be here and then here and then here and then here, you need to learn how to live here and do activities in your day-to-day that are going to keep you here. So that's what I've been trying to do. Try to establish a regular diet. Go to sleep at the same time. Try to not consume substances that are going to affect my body and my mind. Working out, which is something I've been really bad about recently. So that's one I know, like my body's been craving it. So it's like, I need to start working out again. So it's like that establishing those consistent things are going to help you feel more consistent. It's just what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Have you had any similar experiences?
Well, yeah, I wish I got into it sooner almost. Also, thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, sure.
I characterize my mental health. I've only been to therapy a few times. I've never been diagnosed. I never had more than 1 or 2 sessions or I had 3 with one therapist once,
Yeah.
but not long enough for them to necessarily establish patterns or, I got one sort of light diagnosis, but they weren't licensed or fully like a doctor yet. They were
Right.
working on it. So they said I had manic depressive tendencies, and I'm very affected by
interjection, if it's okay.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That, just for anyone who's listening and picked up on that too, that would essentially mean bipolar.
Okay.
Manic depression is the old school terminology for what they call bipolar now.
Okay.
So sorry, continue.
Word, I guess. And I guess so. I mean, and I have trouble defining myself in one way or the other, with syndrome or anything like that. Because sometimes I'll just be low grade, just here, but I'm very, very triggered by inconvenience. If there's one thing I could say, man, I hate being inconvenienced. And I characterize my mental health with 3 sort of things. Manic sadness, very deep existential sadness. Rage is a really big part, and then similar to what you mentioned, this manic obsession with man, I want to see everyone, I want to talk to everyone, I want to fix this, or I want
this project.
Exactly,
get currency off the ground. I got it.
Exactly, yeah, or stuff like that, and I don't really have a thing that I've done to address it. I work out every day. I do the exact same workout.
Yep.
But I don't have a program for myself that I've implemented to tackle those things. But I talk about it in the music just to make sure it's out there and I'm aware of it. And when you project it beyond yourself and you can watch it, it becomes less of something you're ignoring, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, I firmly believe this, and the most important man in the world said it, so it's true. Kanye West.
Man, if we had another hour,
we could just
we
talk
would
about
Kanye.
All right, stay
Have
tuned.
me
Episode
back,
13,
man.
the
Have me
Kanye
back.
episode. He's not going to be on, but we're just going to talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he's been a part of why I've been kind of veering a little bit more agnostic, which is kind of, but we don't have to talk about it. Continue what you're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fuck, I want to pull on that. But
Yeah.
he said his mania is a superpower, and I believe it. I look at mine the same way now. I used to fear my mania because it made me do bad things. I was a bad boy. I would do.
Ooh.
I can't use my mania as my excuse for doing bad shit or hurtful shit. I have to own that. Me, the person, did that, not me, the disorder, or me, the manic asshole. I did bad shit, but I think I was heavily influenced by my state of mind. So that's how I've tried to approach it, is
because
that was still me that did it. I was
Yeah.
the vehicle for performing a bad thing.
But then in even flipping it, when you get the manic energy to create or produce or do something, fix something, a problem or whatever it is, you own that too, because I don't know, or I'm thankful for that spectrum of bipolar, if that's what's going on, that I'm so productive when that happens. And,
Right. That's the superpower.
Yeah,
part
that's the
of it.
superpower part. You can
If you can harness it
that way and not do
because
the
there are
bad
times
part
that
of
it
yeah.
harnesses me and I'm off doing whatever I'm doing,
Word.
and that's when I'm at the mercy of my diagnosis.
Word.
But there are times like now where I feel like I can wake up every day, work a full 8 hours, come here, record a podcast, go home, spend time with my dog, maybe make some dinner, call my mom, call my grandma. And that's manic energy, and it's I'm putting it into my life in a way that's helping me manage what is usually depression when I don't want to do any of those things. That's something I fear every day, is if I'm just going to wake up and all of a sudden work is going to be hard again and I'm not going to want to do this. Because I enjoy this a lot, man. This is quickly become something that I look forward to every week. I lose sleep over it because I care about it and I just want to make it better, and I want to reach people in a way that helps them. So I don't want to be at a place where I don't want to do it because of feeling depressed.
Yeah.
So if mania is going to help me avoid that, cool. I'll bring it on. Let's do it. And I'll just try to avoid the bad stuff that comes with it. So
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping me honest and on track with the stuff we wanted to talk about.
Of course, yeah.
I think we're at a good point where I know you said you wanted to do maybe an acapella.
Sure.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let you pick because I'm selfish.
Word. I mean,
in a lot of ways.
I guess I can do one. I had in my head I was gonna do two, but
we could do two.
I
mean,
sure. If that's cool, that's cool. I don't want to piss Matt off.
Matt's always pissed off. Look at him, goober.
Good smile on that guy. Y'all got good beards and good smiles. I love it. It's
Thanks.
Good. Yeah. I don't know.
Good beards, good smiles.
I don't know.
That's going to be the name of my new podcast.
There you go. Have Matt as your B mic. Yeah.
We just argue like old Jewish women.
Perfect. Beef sandwich.
Shout out to Bev Bighead.
Shout out Bev Bighead.
Real quick before the acapella, want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Riverbend CBD. Graciously sponsor the podcast. If you go to their website, riverbendcbd.com, order anything from their website and put in the promotional code or the coupon code breathing room #15. You get 15% off any order. Nice. So check that out. They actually provided a gift that I was able to give to Pete here today. So really grateful for that. Thank you so much for taking care of us, Riverbend.
Thank you.
And thank you for helping me sleep at night.
Yeah.
No joke. I'm not just like trying to sell their stuff. I use it every day. If I can't sleep at night, I go and take a couple droppers. And before you know it, off in dreamland.
Nice.
So, what are you planning on sharing with us, acapella-wise? I'm assuming it's going to be something off the new tape.
Yeah, definitely.
I always would want to hear stuff off of Bitter. Yeah, I mean, like, I would want to hear River or, like, bring back some old shit, but I know you have a new tape coming out, so why wouldn't you share? I'd like to hear Need.
Ooh.
And we'll call up Zero on the phone, and I'll put it on speakerphone.
I'll try to do...
But you can do whatever comes up for you. That would be like...
Yeah. I'll do a song you haven't heard, too, because it also speaks to what we were talking about.
Perfect.
And then I'll think about the second one if we have time for a second one.
Perfect.
This one's trappier on the track, but the lyrics are cool, I guess.
Have you done an acapella in this environment before?
On the radio I did.
Okay.
One,
yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
It can be a little unnerving.
I do acapellas on stage too. I don't know, so I'm familiar.
Feel free to like close your eyes if you have to,
sure,
or like take off your pants if you want.
We talked about this. So you can't just
I said if you want.
True. Consent.
If you don't want,
consent is key, guys.
If you don't want, that's totally cool.
I appreciate that.
All right, let's get to it.
Sure. I struggle with hope. I stand in the rain with no rust in my coat. My pain is so minimal, speck on the globe. Soak it all up like a sponge, though. The venom is sit on the tip of my tongue. I want to say what P.T.P feel when he want. Risking a neck and a check, now it's gone. Blood on my palms, scratching my face in a rage. Why did this happen today? Never perspective and easing my stresses. The seat of my records is next to my grave. Fuck all the credit they gave. I am too cowardly, doubting hourly inside to be brave. Boxing out pride in the pain. I'm losing my sight. Am I sane? I want to be saved. Wish I believed in the Lord more. Praying alone on my forward door. Am I alive when I pour more? Getting wavy with a shore for. Baby, save me, you a saint. It's all gravy. Thinking maybe it's a trade. It's all gravy, my stay. But stitches they pop in my brain.
Run that last part back.
Sorry.
Now you're good. No need.
Thinking maybe it's a trade. It's all gravy, my state. But stitches they pop in my brain. I'll just move on. Sorry. I'll do the second verse. Prison in my own mind. Devil in the profile. I could never shave the beard. You don't want to see me that clear. Sabotaging with the fear. It's always so hard just to start a move. Incubate, fade away, then PD come back even stronger to start you. Remember good weed in the ramen nudes. Daddy's credit card and karma loop. Looking forward to Obama news. Squad looking deep, PD keeping a summer crew. Embarrassing days of the ease. Now I don't do what I please. I write it up, mic it up, bleed. A butyrol siphon to breathe. Ruin all types of relief. Sex and addiction, a cigarette, it be a stress. People, person in the past. Missing thrive. tropic rocket vest. So I just get bruised when the slug is thrown. Yes, it is true what the fuck I'm on. So what you gonna do when they come along?
Nice. You saved it at the end, man. That was great.
Thank you.
That was cool, man.
Thank you, though.
Doing a cappella rap is not easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Zero talked about it a little bit after his episode, where just not having everything that you're used to in the beat makes it really challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like a lot of the concepts that you brought up there. I wish we had another hour to pick it apart and talk about them.
Yeah.
Some high notes that I took from there were like, I wish I believed in God more. I've had that thought before too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, maybe this would be a little bit easier for me if I had something to believe in, if I really believed in it.
Yeah.
I envy in a lot of ways people who have strong faith.
Yeah, same. Big
Jealous
time.
of it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks for sharing. What was the name of that tune?
That was Sinister.
Sinister.
Track 12.
Cool.
Yeah. One more or no one more?
One more.
One more.
I want one more.
And then I'll be done. I promise, guys. I'm sorry.
No, you're good,
I'll
man.
do Dead Man Freestyle.
Yes.
All
All right, cool. That's the last one I'll listen to on the way over here.
Cool.
So
Because I guess it's fresh. I gotta remember it too. It's all newer stuff. Word. Sure, you got a voice. What you saying with it? Pete, you bitter man. Why you gotta be dismissive? 'Cause doubt heavy and I envy the delusions. Y'all get to claim shit and never prove it. I've had to die 3 times in my movements. Reborn, rejectors, fiending for respect. That's true shit. Guess the internet made you free to lie. I fought and clawed my way up just for the sea to rise. Hippie shit say the ego need to demonize, but he don't breathe the need to see demise. So the ego, what made him seem alright. Life, please load to save. I wanna redo mine. Back with the force of a balanced talent on an emu hind. That's a leg if you didn't know. Posting on the reg with my hidden ghosts. Grab my throat, hope choked, only flow when they allow me. Never alone, breathing demons posing all around me. Yeah, I crank the ISO to see him, man, is micro-anemic from the spike going deep and slowly bleeding as it press upon the spine. Tap twice if your breath is on the line. Fatigue weakens the belief in mine. All that probably over your head, Read it over when I'm dead. Tell your friends, Shit was legendary. Look what he said. Ooh, man was crazy with the metaphors and schemes. Fucked up to be remembered this way. My only realistic dream, P.T.P fiend, just to put this mirror in its sheath. The dry paint cracks unfolded canvas as it crease. I wanna go, planted on my knees, meditating in the shade, waiting in the eve. Slowly crumble into rubble that spread amongst the seeds. Dust picked up and vanished in the trees, please. I'm sick of panic and the need to please. I'm tired of the damage and I need release. I'm sick of this vantage that I need to keep. And I'm sipping this antidote and I need to sleep.
nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I love this.
You got a great flow, and it's very dynamic. You always switch it up, and I always come on the ride with you. You got a lot of good flows on both tapes between Bitter and Hunger.
Thank you, man.
That was great. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for coming on today. Really glad to finally be able to do this with you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for giving me the space to share, and I feel I'm overthinking what I said. I wish I could have said more about certain things. That's how my brain works, but this show, this space, the way you ask questions, the way you share is very special, and I very appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I do that every episode. I'll go home tonight. I'll probably pull up some of the video and watch it and be like, man, I wish I would have said this way, or I shouldn't have laughed like that. I sound stupid, but it doesn't matter. We had a good conversation, and I enjoyed having you on a lot.
It was a pleasure, man. Thank you.
So thanks for joining episode 12 of Breathing Room. Pow, pow, pow. Matt Dunn on the production, AV Live. Yeah, this one and 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 this one.
Or like on Hot Ones. He's like, tell them what you got going on in your life.
I love Hot Ones. Yeah. What a great show. Shout out to them, because why not? I think I'm done with the outro. I think that's all I got. Don't forget to breathe. We'll see you next time for SK the Novelist. I'm your host, Rob Lavati, and thanks for joining. Signing off.